WTS presents
3, 2, 1.
All the Feelings. This episode.
Transcendence.
Pete, can you believe it? It is episode 812. Does that mean we've done 812 episodes? Nope, it's our weird season thing, but it is the last episode of season 8. Can you believe it, and will you believe it?
I can't believe it, but I am forced to.
Yeah.
I shall because of the pressure of numbers.
Yep, numbers.
That's right,
they
Tom.
always get you in the end. This has been.
They sure do.
This is the last episode of our brand new experience. WTS presents All the Feelings. We will be talking in a later segment about whether any of it worked. But for now, if the avid listeners to the last episode will know what we are talking about today, but in case you didn't make it to the very end of the episode, Pete, we started with change, and what's a good one to go out on as far as looking forward to the future and moving ahead?
I don't know, Tom. The jury's out as to whether or not it will be transcendence, but that's what we're talking about today anyway.
Transcendence. Noun. Existence or experience beyond the normal or physical level.
So this was a tough one, and it was my idea, and you chose it, and I think to punish me for having the idea, because I made a whole list of feelings and emotions, and you said, that's not a feeling or an emotion, that's last. And I said, great, bring it. And then I was having so much trouble, we had to postpone recording. I also got sick. Sick with typing. And I realized when I first started thinking about my relationship to transcendence, I was having, a ton of trouble because I didn't really know what it meant exactly and how it seemingly fit into my personal life. When I think of transcendence, I think of one thing: meditation, transcendental meditation. Something that
TM.
What's that? TM trademark. And it's something that I've been told could be incredibly helpful for me, but also something I've never really tried because, sitting around quietly with my own thoughts sounds clinically, like in clinical terms, like ass. That sounds terrible to me. And so I was feeling very in my body all this week, and I couldn't think of how I use transcendence, which is awesome again, because I came up with this dumb topic. And then, Pete, it struck me like the hot kiss at the end of a wet fist. I remembered the zipper. Are you intrigued?
This is where the Foley sound, I need to insert a zipper.
Different zipper.
Good.
Please do not.
Noted.
No. Strike that. Before the lockdown. Can you remember before the lockdown?
No. There was nothing before the lockdown.
This is all, we've all just been here the whole time.
Yeah.
There was a traveling carnival that would come and plant stakes in the gigantic park that I can see from my window that's outside of my apartment. And they would come every, they would come like 2 to 3 times a year. It was very carny-ish and very something wicked this way comesy, because they would just show up. Like I'd wake up and take Foster out, and there's a carnival there, and no one's working it because it only works at night. I texted you a couple photos from it. Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you want to take a look at them and describe what you see very briefly, if you want?
Yeah, let me go back to them.
I remember I sent them to you a little while ago.
You did. Okay, so the first one is, it's it looks like we're on top of something and looking down at a sparse crowd.
Yeah.
That are they social distancing, or was this actually how we behaved before the pandemic? I don't know.
Remember.
And the other one is looking up at one of the rides. It's one of the swingy rides that goes in a big circle, and you're in a cage. It's like the cage match ride, except for the cage is also moving while you're fighting to the death. And then the third one looks like I'm looking at the Gravitron ride and the, what is that called? Ferris wheel. And the Ferris wheel. And they're all lit up. It's super late at night, and there are no people in that picture at all.
Weird, right?
It is an abandoned Ferris wheel.
There's a chance that I dreamed this whole carnival and it was just for me. But anyways, so yes, it was very sketchy. There were a lot of people probably went missing. But either way, for me, it was a treat that would show up because, as we've talked about, I really like rides. And that brings me to the zipper. Have you ever heard of the zipper? It is a staple for sketchy carnivals across the United States.
No, I don't know. I don't carnival.
You don't carnival. If you look under C Block, there's a little YouTube video that you can watch, and you can describe this is traditionally what the zipper is. A, does it look enticing to you? Would you like to go on it? And B, how would you describe it to people? You kind of already did with the death cage match.
Oh, for crying out loud. This is the zipper? Oh, God. Okay, so imagine there is I don't even know how to describe it. So there's a center axis in the sky, and around that is like a rod. It's like a giant rod. And on the rod are tracks around which more cages are moving up and down the rod as the rod spins, but they're also spinning on their own axis. It's
Correct.
like, how many axes are there here?
So you are locked in a steel cage that can spin 360 all the way around, and then your entire apparatus also is spinning 360. So it's clearly, and it's always like, looks like that's where tetanus was invented. It looks like something from the movie Saw.
And I'm surprised they call it the zipper. I don't understand that name because all of these little things are cages. It should be called Rain of Vomit is what it should be called, because that's what's happening, I have to imagine.
Do you know how much neon costs? We're going with the zipper. We don't have time for Rain of Vomit. That's too much. Do you want to know one other quick fact about the zipper?
Of course.
In the late 1970s, the government put out a PSA, and we have a copy of it in the show notes, telling people to not ride the zipper after multiple fatalities when all the compartment doors opened mid-ride and a bunch of people fell out. That is 100% true. That's
a horrible story.
A link to the YouTube of the zipper if you want to see it for yourself, and then this PSA will be in the show notes. Pete, the zipper, I know you've already... No, stop looking at the zipper. You have to look back at me. Enough. Focus.
Okay, I can't.
Focus.
It's bad. It's bad, y'all.
Stop looking at the zipper. Focus on me.
Stop. Carnivals are trouble. Okay. Go ahead. I'm here. I'm with you.
So the zipper. Would it surprise you to know that I would go on it every night?
Yes, it would not surprise me.
It would not surprise you.
Of course you do.
And why? Why would I go on it every night? I've already used the word sketchy 100 times to describe both the carnival and the zipper. And the guy running it looked and talked like a weirdo every time. And it felt dangerous. And I've ridden it about 12 times over the 3 years that it would come. I would do it multiple times every night. And I would do the whole, like, close my eyes and let my arms and legs dangle free. And I'm sure I was losing wallets and car keys with wild abandon. And we're all screaming. And I think upon reflection, what I was experiencing or was trying to experience was transcendence in a way. Not being out of my body, but experiencing a feeling beyond the normal level. Remember the normal physical level that the robot talked about, the normal or physical level.
Right.
And I was alternately feeling like really weightless and then really heavy and then spinning and then dizzy. And it was really addictive. And it reminded me of other things that I maybe do to experience transcendence while also still in my body. Again, the whole topic that I want to talk about is I never do anything to achieve transcendence. I think I do a lot of things to try to achieve
transcendence.
Like roller coasters, of course. Or fear, Pete. Haunted houses, scary movies.
All the time.
I do those all the time.
But what is that? Describe what that does to you. Like haunted houses, scary movies. How does that lead you to transcendence?
I think they help me forget my normal feelings, that I'm experiencing these rushes of different sensations where it's not possible to be anxious about all the little things that I'm constantly anxious about.
Yeah.
It's like a cosmic push off in a safe way. Of course, we've talked about that's the reason that people maybe go to see these scary things. It's to sort of practice fear in what is hopefully a safe way. I don't know why I keep saying the word safe alongside the zipper, because it is not safe, says the government. But either way, I think I like these things because, like I just said about meditation, being alone with my thoughts seems very intimidating. And so instead, to get these rushes of excitement or these great feelings that I really sort of scribe for. Do you think that could be called transcendence, or am I reaching too far? I'm fine to be reaching too far.
This is the thing. I mean, like, I see the word transcendence, and Robot gave us the definition of transcendence, and I sort of, I guess my interpretation of the definition is more broad than that, right? Because and when I talk about my stupid stuff, I think that might become clear because it's a very different approach to transcendence than you're experiencing and what you're shooting for. So does it fit? Sure, absolutely it fits. I think the real question is like, what do you get out of it? Like, how is it just a vacation from anxiety for you, or is there any sort of like leveling up that you get to do as a human as a result of getting there?
Outstanding question. Let me think about it for 2 seconds. 1, 2. Yes, both. It is definitely a vacation, but then one that leaves me newly energized. It's not that rush, that feeling of rush, whether it's panic of a haunted house, whether it's that really intense feeling of a roller coaster, G-force. I come out of the other side, I'm always like sort of bouncing up and down. I'm re-energized by the scenario because it's reminded me of the better feelings or the different feelings that you can feel during life. I lead a life very much of the mind, too much, some would say. And by pushing me out of that experience into just more of a physical or primal realm, I think it helps me remember what is really important, what is really in front of my face, so I can just live more in the moment versus doing what I always do, which is anticipating something and being worried about that. There's no room for that when there's a guy with a fake hammer running after you. I would like to think that even subconsciously, it helps build courage in that if I can do this and experience it and enjoy it on its own terms, then that solo I'm going to sing in a couple weeks doesn't seem quite as scary. That brings me to another thing, actually, now that I'm just saying that, performing can be a version of, I think, transcendence. You are a performer. We sang in an a cappella group a ton of times. Do you remember, did you ever have that feeling of like going out, knowing you did a good job, but you come off stage, you're like, I can't really remember everything that I did.
100%.
100%. Isn't that transcendence? You have left.
Yeah.
You did something, made a bunch of people either laugh or excited or something, and you were in a way outside of yourself. Something else is taking over. I would also like to think that is, oh no, transcendence.
I love that you use the words, yes, you went out on stage and made people excited. It's not Magic Mike a cappella. Like, it's really...
You turned on hundreds of people.
We sang some songs. I mean, okay.
People liked it.
But to your point, there are very few things in my life where anymore, particularly, where I have such singular focus that I sort of black out. Right? There's no phones, there's no beeps and boops, there's no watches. There's just the thing I'm doing and the people watching me doing the thing. And that, I think, is why, like, when you're at 100% max focus on a single thing, when you come down from that experience, it's kind of hard to recall. Right?
Yeah.
It's hard to. And so I get that. I totally get that. I think my question for you, though, given all of this, is that, how, as you're thinking through it, how do you use it with intention? Right? Is there a purpose for like using these tools that you use for intention? Or are you just saying like, okay, I need to go have an out-of-body experience right now. I'm going to go to a haunted house. Or is it, hey, everybody's going to a haunted house and the result will be, oh, hey, look, I had an out-of-body experience. I'm saying out of body, real tongue in cheek. I know you're not actually having it. Well, out of body.
One thing I can say, I think it might be the former in that, again, I was going to this carnival alone.
Yes.
It is right across the street, but alone. And I didn't bother. I wasn't going to invite friends to this weird death carnival, but just like walking across the street. Yes, it was very simple and easy to get to. But in the same way that I talk about, I've gone to Universal Studios alone.
Yes,
I don't do haunted houses alone, not because of fear, but just because it's just a little too sad.
That's too much.
Well, because the lines are so long, like just doing that alone. And it is a group experience. Like I will be forced to be with just strangers. And so that's a little bit too much, but I would, if it was different. Remember we talked, was it last season about that that VR experience, the scaredest I've been, and the fear that it gave me for VR. I did that myself. I just walked into a mall and was like, oh, okay, I'll try that. So there is a definite, let's take me out to play.
Yes.
Feeling for it versus just going along with the story. I'm searching for these kind of things. And there is a limit. Like, I'm never going to jump out of a plane. F that in the B. But like, I can't, like, that's the one reason I can never be on Amazing Race, is they're always eating bugs and jumping out of planes. And I'm like, hard pass. Yeah. But no, I think I kind of like that idea of, like, I'm taking myself out to put myself in this situation because part of me needs it. I love that you called it a vacation, but I think there's also something emboldening about it.
Does thinking about it, like, just for this episode, has this given you a different sort of kind of language to talk about it? Because it seems like some of what you're talking about is a new awareness.
Yes.
And, like, does this change what you're thinking about the next time you go to Universal?
Yes.
Does it change, like, how you think about that trip?
It's fascinating because, I mean, it's going to be fascinating because tomorrow night is my haunted house night. I thought I had lost all of my in-town spooky friends that want to go on these things.
Yeah.
And then I think I mentioned Liz Vukovic and her husband, producer on 30 Nights. They're big fans. We never knew this about each other. And so we're all going, the three of us are all going to, like, 3 different installations.
Outstanding.
In Thousand Oaks and, like, Simi Valley or so. That can't be right. But something like, we're just driving around all night going to these things. And I'm going to be more, I don't want to say that I'm going to be more in my mind, watching myself be out of my mind, but I will look at it with this new language, like you said, this new appreciation of, I'm really getting something out of this. I want to do this. And part of it is because of that rush, because of that vacation, but because, yeah, I'm getting some sort of I don't want to say a jolt. It's a different type of jolt. Yeah. I mean, having a different language for this, I started this whole thing. Everything I said was true. The one thing I knew I don't try to achieve is transcendence. And I'm achieving it all over the place.
All
just
the time.
On my terms, in ways that you usually don't think about transcendence. And probably maybe most people do. And there's a good chance that listeners and people that do TM will be like, nope, that's being scared. Like, I could be wrong. But it seems if at the very least they are sisters to each other, what I'm going through and the idea of existence or experience beyond the normal or physical level, because I'm pushing. Yeah. So
I think that's fascinating.
I'm very much looking forward to tomorrow night and to see what it's like. And my plan is to go through the haunted house and be like, now look, and then I'm going to engage every single character into a long conversation of, like, I want you to know that I'm not afraid of you, Travis. I'm afraid of what you represent. Kyle, come here. Come back.
Come here. Come back out of the cage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. Take the blood bag out of your mouth and just listen and just listen and be heard. Yeah, I'm going to really ruin the entire experience for everybody. And now, American Smooth, read by author Rita Dove.
American Smooth. We were dancing. It must have been a foxtrot or a waltz, something romantic but requiring restraint, rise and fall, precise execution as we moved into the next song without stopping, 2 chests heaving above a 7-league stride. Such perfect agony one learns to smile through, ecstatic mimicry being the sine qua non of American Smooth. And because I was distracted by the effort of keeping my frame, the leftward lean, head turned just enough to gaze out past your ear and always smiling, I didn't notice how still you'd become until we had done it. For 2 measures, 4, achieved flight, that swift and serene magnificence, before the earth remembered who we were and brought us down.
Tom, I think your segment, your interpretation of transcendence, I think, and my it just demonstrates how different we are.
Oh, no.
And where our anxieties live.
Sure.
For me, there are a lot of different ways to, I think, obviously approach this conversation. And I thought about the things, I thought about TM, and I never told you. My mom took me when I was an older teen.
Yeah.
And we got TM certified. And so I have my mantra.
What is it?
And I have the whole practice.
You're
I
allowed
can't
to
tell you.
No, you're allowed to tell them
Nope.
now. I looked it up.
Nope, it's not true.
No, they say the
You're a
best
liar.
thing to do about your mantra is to tell someone on a podcast. Hello,
Tell
Pete.
everybody on a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not true. So, I totally get like that interpretation of it. For me, I went back to our friend. Do you remember our friend Maslow?
Oh, the hierarchy of
Abe.
needs?
Abe Maslow?
Was that
Abe.
the hierarchy of needs? Was that
Abish.
the food
Yeah.
pyramid? Yep, I remember.
It was the food pyramid.
The triangle of sadness or whatever it was. Yeah.
Well, and the only reason I bring that up is because, we've talked about, so at the bottom we have our psychological needs and safety needs and belongingness and love needs and esteem needs and then self-actualization needs at the top. And that is the top of Maslow's hierarchy. He actually came back and introduced the idea of self-transcendence as a further motivational stage.
Oh.
And it involves transcending the self and focusing on something beyond the individual, like a higher cause, spiritual growth, or purpose or mission.
Okay. So that's outside
I'm-
of you. Sure. It's sort of what your purpose is or your legacy.
Yeah, what
will
do you
be,
exist
or-
to do?
Yep.
As long as you've checked all the other boxes, then why the hell are you here? Right? And that took me down the dark road of history.
Oh,
Of
no.
Pete's life. Well, it's not that dark. It's probably cloudy. The first thing I wanted to do in my life was to be a paleontologist.
I know what that is, but why don't you tell the audience?
I wanted to I wanted to, audience,
Yeah.
I'm talking only to you now.
Yeah.
I wanted to study dinosaurs. I
Oh.
was 6 and I learned the word paleontologist, and that was what I wanted to do with my life.
Sure.
And my bedroom was littered with those balsa wood, like punch out balsa wood
Yeah.
skeletal models.
Yeah.
And I had all the great dinosaurs hanging from fishing wire that we'd hung from my ceiling.
It's like paper
And-
dolls for boys
Yes,
of
for
the era. Yeah.
of the era, for sure. That's exactly what I was. But at some point, I changed, and it was not too much later. A couple of years later, I wanted to be a spy, and I had put all of the dreams of paleontology behind me.
Uh-huh.
And then I realized I don't really enjoy being super physically fit,
Ooh.
so I stopped wanting to be a spy.
Got it.
I was probably 10 at this point.
Sure.
And then I went into middle school and early high school, and I found, I have a little bit of an affinity with words. So I started writing a lot.
Uh-huh.
And I started getting feedback from my teachers that, hey, Pete, you kind of have an affinity with words and you should keep writing. And I had it in my head at some point, I want to be a professional writer.
Mhm.
Somehow or another, I want to be a writer. And at the same time, I started having a similar experience in the theater. There was I had the acting bug and I wanted to act, and I was in every show and I was president of the drama club. And that was my high school experience. I went to college in New Jersey at a school that was right across the river from New York City because all the internships from the theater department were at SNL, were at 30 Rock.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And that was what got me to the theater department at this school. But things change in life. And I ended up moving through that too,
Mhm.
and then went back to a different school. I went to CU Boulder eventually for journalism school because then I wanted to be a journalist.
Right.
And so I went through and I got my degree in journalism. And so now I've been a paleontologist in my head and a spy and a writer and an actor and a journalist.
A journalist, yeah.
And a journalist. And it's the later ones, the journalism and the writing, that have actually led to my professional career,
Mhm.
which is now podcasting. But marketing and communications, those things are sort of the hodgepodge of skills that I use. But in my head, Tom, I still have a little part of me that thinks maybe I took the wrong path and should have been a
No.
paleontologist, or maybe I should have stuck around on that spy path. And I'll tell you as a sidebar.
Yeah.
My dear friend, when I wanted to be a spy, my dear friend, I actually don't think I can call him by his real name on the podcast.
What?
We grew up 7 houses from each other and played together every single day. And he also wanted to be a spy and ended up becoming effectively a spy, a soldier spy. And he right now
unfortunately for the Russians.
Yeah, right. He now teaches high altitude, low open in what's the word? Not insurgency,
Inverted?
but ingress jumps from
Yeah.
the kind that Tom Cruise
Mission
did in that
Impossible
movie
stuff.
that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he teaches that course for other people because now he's an older guy and now he teaches all this spycraft stuff. It's extraordinary. And so when I found that out, I thought maybe I should have been a spy. And then, oh my gosh, this whole writing thing, maybe I haven't really leveraged all of that. And maybe that's why I do this National Novel Writing Month thing every year for 20 straight years.
That's
because
right.
I just haven't quite exercised that demon. And maybe I'm not journalisming enough, or God, maybe I'm just like everything has become baggage of regret that I carry behind me.
Because
right?
you're wondering what could have been.
Exactly. And to me, that's what transcendence represents. It represents taking those choices as representations of old life, old Pete, and moving beyond them, accepting that those are past and that I'm living right now, and that all of that experience in the past, I need to liberate. I need to just be comfortable that there is another a plane of existence where another Pete is out there and he's done all that stuff, so I don't have to.
Right. The everything
What do you
all
think about it? Is that
the everything
is that
all
too,
there once.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about the idea of taking comfort from the idea that a different Pete or a different Tommy has done all those things, and I was not able to meet you there.
Yeah.
For taking comfort from that because I wanted to do it. This Tommy wants it to do.
Yeah.
And so I can't really join you with comfort, but the idea of transcendence, of another version of transcendence, can be equivalent to like forgiveness. Like if you've made mistakes, if you have regrets or things in your past, letting it go and moving beyond that is 100% relatable and necessary and 100% really difficult to do.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything that wakes me up at 2 a.m. and that I think about from 2 until 2:45 a.m. before I go back to sleep is stuff that I need to transcend from. I need to move, to put it in its place. I need to let it go. And it's really hard to do. But I guess I don't think about those things I think more about what I did do and regret versus what I could have done and didn't. So
there it is.
Yeah.
That's why we're different.
Okay. Yeah.
My existential anxiety is it lives heavily in the regret of the things I haven't done.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm barely holding on to the things I am doing. I'm about to spiral out of control at any given moment. I'm a human zipper.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, and this is why I bring this back up.
Yeah.
Because as I get older, what I notice is there is an increased cognitive load to that regret.
Okay.
And it becomes more and more important to make a practice out of letting go of that weight. Because the truth is, if I live in fact and truth, the truth is I am supremely happy with where I am in my life. Right. I have a fantastic family. I am married to a wonderful person. And my kids are, fantastic. They're taking the world by storm.
You have a perfect partner in podcasting.
And I have a perfect partner
just
in podcasting,
amazing.
a PPP. And so I have to let go of the stuff behind me. And when I do, when I'm able to make that leap, I feel lighter in the world, right? Like I feel better when I'm not considering the paths not taken. And that to me is the spirit of transcendence.
Sure.
Like there's a line in the last Star Wars movie, right, where Ghost Luke and Ghost Yoda are hanging out together and the tree of Jedi what's-its is burning. And Yoda says this line that is extraordinary. He's talking about the youth, right?
Okay.
And Yoda says, "We are who they grow beyond." Well, that's what I feel like myself. Like I am who I've grown beyond.
Sure.
Old Pete's, old choices, old, regrets. And I've been able to sort of transcend those things in a way that is, I like to think is healthy.
Yeah.
But it's a long road. And now at 50, I think I'm more conscious of the legacy baggage that I've been carrying and didn't even know.
Interesting. Sure. Well, there's also, is there something to the fact that it's not fair to yourself? You're assuming that paleontology would have been awesome. You're assuming that you wouldn't immediately be shot in an alley as a spy. I mean, those were very different. It's very easy to say to rose-colored glasses things that were just never in the cards. Yeah. But that the opposite, the good enemy of that is appreciation for what you do have, which is what you were just listing. This podcast partner sounds amazing.
He's really extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. I think that's the thing that I've been mulling over this week. And honestly, since we started this season, like when we put Transcendence on the list of possible things, when you put Transcendence on the list of things,
you just kept putting the word brisket. I was like, we're not going to talk about brisket. Go ahead.
That's just my effort to spike all the other ideas that make you work harder.
Right.
That has become a thing that has been that I've been very mindful of.
Yeah.
Is what do I need to let go of today that's slowing me down, that's causing me to waste cycles on something else. And I think that's important to me. The other angle of transcendence, and this is completely different, but it is the other thing I think about far more often than I should, is when will I be able to plug a USB-C cable up my nose and upload my consciousness to the cloud? I'm not kidding you about this. I want to transcend the flesh and become Lawnmower Man like nobody's business, Tom. I am not kidding you.
Everyone just went, who?
That
is a dated but amazing reference. We can't even say, if we can even say like Max Headroom, people would be like, what is that?
And I went with Lawnmower Man.
Lawnmower Man, the most untranscendent CGI ever. But you really do want to get out of the body and roll around. Sure.
I sure do. I really do. And I have as long as I can remember, as long as that concept was introduced to me, this concept of the singularity, like at this point where human and machine intelligences combine. And I think we're like, as it feels like limit theory, right? As close as we get to it, we're still only half as close as we'll ever be.
Right.
And that's the massive, again, existential disappointment in when we were born, is that we're not close enough to it. I can't wait.
Cannot wait.
You and I are going to frolic in the digital Lawnmower Man fields.
Me?
We're going to just play pixel toss and we're going to pixel podcast and it's going to be great.
You have forgotten that I am a walking EMP. They will say, do you want to be up low? And they'll get up low into uploaded, and I will make everything disappear because I'm too afraid. We did it!
Oh, Tom. Oh, are you exhausted?
If there's one thing I'm transcending from, it's this season. How do you feel? This was kind of about transcendence and change, the bookends of this whole season. We wanted to give something new, or as you, again, kept saying, more brisket for the barbecue, more brisket for the barbecue. And you love that phrase, and it's your favorite. Oh, no, I'm talking like Trump. And how do you feel? Do you think that this was a good choice, and do you think that there maybe is more firewood out there for us to explore? What?
I do. I do. I really enjoyed it. I actually feel, unlike past seasons where when we get to the end of just picking the scab, the anxiety scab,
Yeah.
I would get to the end of our 12 episodes and just feel like, okay, I'm ready for a break. And I can honestly say I'm not there right now. Like we're stopping.
Yep.
And it's good to end when energy is still high and take a break because we have ideas for other things. But I feel like this season has been just, for me personally, really energizing. And I've loved the pivot, and I've loved looking at things kind of in a different way, looking at the way I relate to emotions in a different way.
Yeah.
It's been great. What do you think?
I have decided that we should not stop until we do all of the feelings.
That's right.
Just
We've
like
got to make the brand promise.
At the end of episode 7, we finally figured out what that smell was. Now we are starting a new hunt, and we are going to be figuring out every single feeling. There's probably only like 6 or 7 more, right?
I think we've already done most of them. Yeah.
We did all the big ones. Well, we actually do. Wait, do we want to tease at all about the idea?
I think we do.
We do?
I think we do. And I have actually made some notes. I'm gonna spring something on you.
Oh, okay. While in the middle of talking, are you behind me right now?
I have thoughts. I'm right behind you right now. Yes. So what we're thinking is,
here's what
I don't know. I think you came up with this idea.
Who's to say?
I think it's you.
Okay.
I am to say that it's you.
Okay.
And the answer is, next season, we're going to do All the Feelings presents The Sins.
No. We, as you may have noticed, we generally go a little dark. Give us optimism, we'll give you pride falling or whatever. Like we will. And yeah, we did one episode was about envy. That is, as we pointed out, one of the 7 deadly sins. That leaves 6 more.
It's 6 more, but here's the spin that you and I have not talked about.
Oh,
and you can tell me, maybe we'll cut all of this.
Okay.
But there are 7 deadly sins, the 7 capital sins, the 7 cardinal sins, right? And you know them right off the dome, right? Go ahead. What are they?
Envy, gluttony, wrath, lust, probably like over salting food, lactose intolerance.
Okay. All right. We're going to get there.
Yeah.
Pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth.
Okay. So we did 2 of them.
Right.
We did pride and
I think we have room in this new context to do them again. But here is the thing.
Oh, no.
Here's the thing, Tom.
Oh, boy.
Each of these sins can be overcome with the 7 heavenly virtues.
What?
Humility, charity, chastity, gratitude, temperance, patience, and diligence.
Where do those come from?
It's truth. Thomas Aquinas.
I know him. Wait, 7, 8, 9. That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's if we've already done 2 of the 7.
That's 12.
That's 12. That's how long our seasons are.
What do you think about that?
Sins and virtues and sins? Oh,
yeah.
Pete.
And it gives us an opportunity to take the 7 heavenly virtues and really make a meal out of taking those dark.
I'm in. I say, I love this. So I love it.
Yeah.
All the sins and the virtues. We're going to have to come up with some new titles. This is exciting.
For sure. This is very exciting. I think it's going to be a great season, season 9. And we're not going to tell you when it's coming, but I can tell you this. One of our jobs when we press stop on the record today is to come up with our release date for season 9. So it's not going to be just this thing that's out there. We're going to know.
Yeah.
Here's when it's coming. We're very excited about it. I will also say one more thing for Feeling Friends out there. This is a Feeling Friends announcement. And anybody who is not a Feeling Friend yet, if this season has been fun for you, please, please, please check out the Feeling Friends membership program and support the show. This is the last episode of the season. We are about to ship the goodies that we've been talking about every week. We're about to ship them to the Feeling Friends, but it's not too late because we're a little slow. And when I say that, I mean Pete's a little slow at things, but I have stickers, I have things, Tom has this, I have addresses, I'm sending them to Tom today. We have jobs to do. And it's all going to mean packages for you, Feeling Friends in the mail. If you want to get a treat from Tommy and Pete,
Hey.
That should be on a shirt. Then sign up today, allthefeelings.fun, and put your name in there and support this season, and it will automatically renew at a lower rate for next season as well, so you don't even have to think about it. You'll get next season's treats too.
Oh my gosh.
Tommy and Pete treats.
And you'll get access to special member-only episodes that we will be recording in between seasons, as we always do. And they always get grim.
As we always do.
And very fun.
we have not come up with our
what we're going to be consuming.
Our food related.
Right.
Yeah, our consumption related.
Yeah.
Isn't that a sin? Consumption? Oh, well. Hey, this has been super fun. And definitely check out allthefeelings.fun for that. Thank you, everybody, for your support. It's hugely helpful to make this stuff run. So
that's it. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode and this season. This week's tune is, speaking of Transcendence, Higher Than the Sun by I Am Daylight.
Until next season, I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Tommy Metz III. Thank you so much for downloading. We will be back next season with The Sin.